Hi, welcome back to PracticalStudent.com. This is part number 3 of the 2015 ordinary level project, and it looks like a very complicated piece at first. We have a lot of measurements up here on the side and across here, a lot of holes to drill and a lot of curves. The best way to approach this is to break it down into sections. And if we look at it, we have a section here, 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 and then the middle section, and that's what we're going to do. Before I start though, I'm going to help myself. I'm going to be marking out from this bottom right hand corner for a change, and I'm going to add up all of these measurements and write them on the drawing here to help me, rather than having to go 18 and then measure from there 8 and 8. If I measure always from this corner the same and the right number, I think it'll make things easier. So I'm going to add those up quickly. So now I think with all of these added up, I've helped myself a bit. I won't have to be looking and figuring out things as I go along. So I have my piece of metal here. And I'm going to start, as I say, in this bottom right hand corner. And I'm going to do the sections first of all. So if we look here, this section here is 26 high, and it's from this edge it's 118 across. So I'm going to measure across 118. T-square line up. And it's 20 if I mark from the bottom corner here. Just bring this down to make it easier to see. 26 will give me that section there. This is the line for the top of that section, which is at 98. And the whole thing is 124. Let's T-square those lines across. And I forgot that very top one. This will be easy to cut off on the guillotine. And then the final edge, the whole thing is 144 wide. So I'm just going to measure 144 from the bottom right corner and T-square line up. And we have all of the different sections marked out then. That'll make our life a little bit easier. So now you should be able to see the 4 different sections. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now things should get a little bit easier to mark out. Okay, we're going to do this bottom section here with the 3 holes in it first of all. These 2 holes here are 18 up, and they're in 6 millimeters and at 24. So I'm going to measure up 18. T-square line partially across. And then, as I said, from the drawing we can see that the first hole is at 6 and the second hole is at 24. Just going to turn the ruler upside down can still read the numbers on it. So if I mark 6 and 24, I'm going to punch those. We're going to be drilling holes in those later on. And we've one other hole in this section to do. It's 36 millimeters from this left line here, and then 5 millimeters up. So 36 from this line. Five millimeters from the edge, and punch. So that's the holes for this bottom section. We don't have to worry about holes here, and we have the same type of holes here on this one. So if I look at it, it's 106 for those ones there, from the bottom left corner, or this left corner here now, 106. And I don't even have to measure the other ones. I can line up the holes or the marks that I put in on the previous one. So I've lined up the punch mark here, drawn it and lined up the punch mark there. And while I'm at it, this hole and this hole line up, so I'm going to transfer this one across as well. And I just have to measure down 5 from the line, not the edge of the metal, but the line we have here. I can punch those 3 now. That's that section done. So we only have to worry about the middle section now. If we look at it, we've got an X here, X dimension as required from part 22. We cannot find the locations of these 2 holes at the minute. They are for the gearbox motor holder, and we can't really put that in the right position until we're assembling the project. So we're not going to worry about these 2 at the minute. We are going to worry about the other 3 holes. So these 2 here are on the line 90. I'm going to measure 90 from the bottom. Mark it, T-square the line across, the first hole is at 38 and the second hole is at 93. So again, I'm going to flip the ruler over. So 38 and 93. I can T-square this line on the wrong side, T-square that line down a bit for the other hole there. I'm going to punch these 2 just to get them out of the way. And then this last hole that we have to do is on this line, which is 72 up from the bottom. So I'm going to get my ruler, measure here, 72, and punch that. So we have all the holes that we can currently mark out done. We have 3 up in this top section to match those 3. We have 3 in this middle section to match those. 3 in this, and sorry, I forgot this one here. So we need to come up 34 and then in 38. then measure 38 from the right hand side. And punch that. And that's the most of it marked out. I hope you can see the value of adding up the dimensions as we went along. We don't actually need the centre line here, even though it's in it, if we go that method. So later on when we're assembling, we'll worry about those two holes. The last thing to do on this project then is to do the fillets for all of these corners here. Now in previous videos I've said many times, how do we work out the fillet? You look at the radius. So the radius in this case is 10, and it says here there's 6 of them. Radius 10 by 6 means there's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The centre of the fillet is the radius away from the corresponding edges. So it's 10 from here and 10 from here. So I'm just going to show you normal speed these two, and then I'll speed up the other ones. So I'm going to measure up 10. T-square that line. Here and here. I'm going to measure 10 in on both sections. So we now have a point here that is 10 from there and 10 from there. Centre punch, because we're going to be using the dividers. Set your dividers to 10 millimeters. I'm going to start at 10 and go to 20. That means there's 10 millimeters between the points. And then draw the quarter circles or fillets in each location. And it's the same for the others practically. I'm just going to fly through that now and get it done quickly. And that's the part completed. We have a bit of drilling to do. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes at 3.5. These two later on, but we can't do them at the minute. 2 holes at 4.5, and this is the switch hole. This is where your toggle switch is going to go. So in my case 6.5 works, I know that, but you may need to check depending on what switch you are using. So I'm just going to bring that down. Depending on what switch you're using, this hole may vary for you. So check the measurement of your switch first of all. Okay, time to get on to drilling. So bending this piece now, we have 3 bends along this line, and across here. Now we can do this one on this machine, but then we can't do those. Or we can do these 2 and then won't be able to do this. So that's the way we're going to go. I'm going to get these 2 right, and then we're going to use a block of wood to bend this with a hammer. So just to bend the first 2 sides first, as always, set up carefully, clamp, and bend. Flip it around, same thing. And as you can see, we've got the 2 sides done up. Now we need to do this last bit here, so I'm going to get a piece of wood that fits in here quite nicely in terms of width and is slightly deeper than the depth here. So here we are set up. I have a piece of wood that is higher than the depth of our metal piece. It's just a tiny bit narrower than the width. I've held it in the vise, soft jaw on the side that the metal is on. And I've also got a quick grip here just to hold it up tight up the end. So I'm just going to use a piece of wood and a rubber hammer just to hammer this down and flat. And there we go. The wood is there just to spread the load of the hammer blows out so that we're not getting one piece bending down before another. And the rubber hammer is used so that you're not going to damage the work if you hit it. So there we go. That's part number 3, manufactured. Technically these holes should be on the other side. It's not going to make any huge difference or anything. So I really should have bent the other way, but I wasn't thinking. It works fine. So that's part 3 done. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video for part 4.